for the past 10 years, we've been talking about banks. But in the last 2 years, I would contend we've started to talk about Silicon Valley and some of the big tech giants. You've talked about the big tech giants. In fact, at one point, I think you talked about Google, Apple, and Amazon.
In the same speech?
All in the same speech.
That's right. More people's hair set on fire.
Would you break up the big tech companies today?
Well, the question is less to me about breaking up and more about what it is they do that is anti-competitive. I mean, yes, size worries me all by itself, and there's all kinds of data out there showing the implications of size on things like wages and so on. But I want to focus on a different part of this. So you look at someone like Amazon, and Amazon plays two ways in a marketplace. So Amazon says, we'll provide the marketplace, and you can click on you want a Spiffy Doo blender,
right?
And you'll get 15 Spiffy Doo blenders. You can click on that you want a blue dress, and you get blue dress. And they provide that marketplace. At the same time, they're scraping all this information about Andrew Ross Sorkin, and he buys blue shirts on twice a month, and he seems to buy them on Tuesdays. And all of a sudden, they decide, whatever it is you like to buy, that they decide, because they got your number, they decide the next time he clicks on that it looks like the right place in the algorithm, they're not going to be the provider, they're not going to be the platform, they're going to be the competitor. And so they slip in and use this additional information to sell to you. And the problem is, I'm somebody else who wants to compete in this marketplace. I've been selling Sorkin shirts for a long time, or at least somebody, and I've been competing on price, I've been competing on quality, I've been competing on all the things that produce the benefits of markets, but Amazon gets this special information advantage that it then exploits to wipe out my business. That is a serious problem.
And so that's very interesting. So President Trump has a problem with Jeff Bezos, and you do too.
We must be twins.
Bernie Sanders as well.
Whoa, triplets. Okay.
What would you do? What would you do with Amazon?
Given
how you just articulated that.
Look, for me, it's a lot like Glass-Steagall. You got to pick one business or the other, baby. So, you want to be a competitor, be a competitor. That's great. You want to be the platform provider, that is a different function. And if you're getting huge comparative advantage from being the platform provider because of all this information you keep scraping off, then we no longer have competition going on over on the dress manufacturers, shirt manufacturers, blender manufacturers side of the house. So again, I just keep going back to this point. I believe in markets, but I believe in markets where there's competition.
What would you do to Facebook?
Look, I think it's the same kind of, it's slightly different. I'm going to do Facebook more along the Equifax model line, because every time you've got to kind of look at the businesses and what their models are. And I think actually it's easier to see in Equifax. So here's Equifax. Equifax, it turns out, doesn't even take basic safety precautions. And what was the ultimate number? Was it 146 million people's data that was stolen, right? Social security numbers, phone numbers, addresses, passport numbers. Okay. I don't have a choice as a consumer not to have Equifax be a credit rater of me. I just don't have that choice. It's not available to me. So that means we've got a problem in competition. So here's Equifax. They totally, by, I think, any measure, completely screw up, right? And indeed, the people who understand this, the true data nerds, the ones who are way beyond my nerdiness, say they should have seen this coming. Okay, this was negligent at best. Okay, and what happened to them? Have you noticed? Nothing.
Nothing.
Their stock has recovered, right?
And people still use the service. Why do you think
What do you mean they still use the service? I don't have any choice.
Which gets us back to Facebook.
Yes, and that's why I said it's the right analogy. So the question here on each one of these is how you deal with, we're developing these new commodities. This is where Facebook is also like Amazon. The information is where the value is, right? It's not the platform. There's some value in that, but the real it's the information. And so taking information about people, pulling this information in, and then monetizing this information in an anti-competitive, in some cases, and way in which this market is not regulated. And when I say not regulated, I mean this in both senses of the word. It's not only not got government oversight in any meaningful sense, it doesn't have market discipline in any meaningful sense, because it's all happening outside the control and the purview of the person whose information is being scraped off. So I think all of them have got this fundamental question we got to start wrestling with right now. It's 21st century, it is upon us, that we have to wrestle with this question about these companies that aggregate and monetize data in ways that do not create viable markets and that have no accountability to the people whose data has actually just been taken.